You're crossing the Sahara. It's 1200 AD. The sun is trying to kill you. The sand is trying to bury you. And strapped to the back of your camel isn't gold. It isn't silk. It's salt. Slabs of it, cut like bricks, guarded by armed men who would rather die than lose the cargo. Wait, salt? The stuff sitting in a little shaker on your kitchen table right now? Free at every diner in America? Guarded like treasure? Yes. And here's the question that's about to ruin your relationship with your salt shaker forever. Why would anyone risk their life for something you don't even think twice about? Here's where we're going. Wars. Currency, slavery, empires, revolutions, all because of a white mineral you've never once considered precious. By the end of this, you'll never look at your fries the same way again. Let's rewind. Way before salt was a seasoning, it was a survival tool. Before refrigerators, before freezers, before your grandma's Tupperware. If you couldn't keep meat and fish from rotting, you starved come winter. Salt stopped decay in its tracks. It didn't make food taste better, it made food exist longer. That's not a luxury. That's the difference between a village surviving January or not. So early humans didn't add salt to food for flavor. They needed it, biologically, the same way they needed water. Your body can't produce sodium on its own. No salt, no nerve signals, no muscle contractions, no you. Every animal on Earth that eats mostly plants develops a salt hunger. Deer lick stones. Elephants dig salt out of cave walls. Gorillas travel miles out of their way for a mineral-rich clearing. Humans are no different. We just figured out something no other animal did: how to trade it. And once you can trade something everyone biologically needs, you've invented an economy. Whoever controls the salt controls who eats, who preserves their harvest, who survives the winter, and that kind of control is worth fighting for. Fast forward to Rome. Roman soldiers were sometimes paid partly in salt rations. That's where the word salary comes from the Latin salarium. Miss a payment, and you had an unhappy army holding weapons. Rome built entire roads, the Via Salaria, the Salt Road, just to move it from coastal salt pans to the capital. An empire that conquered half the known world built infrastructure around a seasoning. Now here's your myth versus reality moment. Myth: salt was rare because it's hard to make. Reality: salt is everywhere. Oceans, underground deposits, dried out lake beds. The problem was never scarcity. The problem was control. Whoever controlled the salt route controlled who ate through winter. That's not commerce, that's leverage. China figured this out even earlier than Rome. Over 2,000 years ago, the Han Dynasty turned salt production into a state monopoly, taxing it so heavily that salt revenue reportedly funded a massive share of the imperial treasury. Control the salt, control the population. An entire government balance sheet propped up by seasoning. Which brings us to the caravans. By the medieval period, trans-Saharan trade routes moved massive slabs of salt from mines like Tagaza, deep in the desert down into West African kingdoms, where it was traded pound for pound against gold. Salt for gold, equal weight. Let that sit for a second. A mineral you could scrape off a dry lake bed was worth the same by weight as one of the most valuable metals on the planet, because in the Sahara, gold couldn't keep you alive, and salt could. And where there's a resource that valuable, there's exploitation. The same trade networks moving salt and gold across the Sahara also moved enslaved people. Salt's value helped fund and sustain trans-Saharan slave trade routes for centuries. This wasn't a side effect. It was baked into the economics. A harmless kitchen ingredient has blood in its history. Salt didn't just build trade routes. It built taxes, and taxes built rebellions. In pre-revolutionary France, the gabelle was a salt tax so hated, so unequally enforced, that historians count it among the sparks of the French Revolution. Peasants were forced to buy government salt at inflated, fixed prices, while the wealthy and well-connected dodged it entirely. You want to know how angry people get about salt? Angry enough to storm a palace. And it didn't stop there. Centuries later, in 1930, Gandhi marched 240 miles to the sea. Not for gold, not for oil, for salt. To defy a British law that made it illegal for Indians to make their own salt without paying the crown. Thousands joined him along the way. The Salt March became one of the most powerful acts of civil disobedience in modern history. And it was about the exact same white crystals sitting in your cupboard right now. Let's pull back for a second. Somewhere along the way, refrigeration got invented. Suddenly, salt's superpower, preservation, stopped mattering as much. It got cheap. It got boring. It became something restaurants leave out for free. Something you don't even glance at the price of in the grocery store. The thing that once decided whether empires rose or fell got demoted to a garnish on a plate of fries. But think about what that actually means. Every war fought over salt routes. Every soldier paid in it. Every treasury propped up by taxing it. Every revolution partly sparked by a levy on it. Every enslaved person marched along a route built to move it. All of that. For something you can now buy in bulk for less than $1 at any grocery store on Earth. That's the pattern if you zoom out far enough. The things that shape human history the most are rarely the shiny, obvious ones. They're the boring, biological necessities hiding in plain sight. Gold is exciting. Oil is exciting. Salt is just salt. But salt is the one your body actually cannot live without. And that single fact quietly rewired empires, economies, and revolutions for thousands of years. So next time you shake some onto your fries without thinking, remember, you're holding a piece of currency that built roads, funded dynasties, armed soldiers, and helped spark at least 2 revolutions on opposite sides of the planet. What else in your kitchen has a history like that? Tell me in the comments, and I'll dig into it next.
Don't forget to like and subscribe so you'll be the first to know whenever I drop a new video.